Welcome, everybody. I'm Andrew,
And I'm Chris.
and we are the Nerd Squadron 535. Today's going to be a very special episode to both Chris and I. Um, as many as pretty much the whole world knows, we found out this week that we lost Akira Toriyama, who is a very, very big deal if you are interested in manga and anime and all of that stuff. Um, Probably, I would say, and I'm sure Chris, you would agree with this, probably the most influential manga writer of all time.
Absolutely. Like, I don't think anyone in this world has not heard of his work, big works, especially like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Um,
Hmm.
at some point, like, all of us have been, like, inspired by, the fighting spirit his characters had. And, like, it's just had a huge impact on every country's culture.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy going thinking back on when we were kids watching American cartoons and seeing a Dragon Ball Z reference. Um, One that really sticks out in my head was it's an episode of Codename Kids Next Door where number four goes Super Saiyan.
Yeah. He had,
Uh,
like, hair like the size of a building, basically.
yeah, so there's that one. There's oh god, it was I just lost it.
That's fine. I
Um,
mean, it's we don't need to know like
every
all
single
every
thing.
single one because there's just so many there's so many like Easter eggs like put in a bunch of cartoons about Dragon Ball. But
Yeah,
I know it affected me a bit because I remember it was a huge part of my childhood. Like I played the Dragon Ball Z games. I
yep,
watched Dragon Ball Z with my brother. One of the one things we did together. Uh, I know I talked a lot about it and pretended to be Goku in school. It's super
yep,
fun. So I don't know,
yep,
like seeing it was one of the things like on TV that was actually like action packed. It wasn't like holding anything back, and that was what made me like wowed by it compared to like cartoons like the West puts out. Um, but yeah, like I'm actually surprised like he was a bit young considering like how old at least anybody gets nowadays, especially in Japan. Like he passed away at the age of 68, and
yeah. I
it
thought he was older than that.
I thought he was much older, but yeah, apparently not. He was just getting there. I'm actually surprised too. Like I heard about like how he passed away, and honestly, it sounds like something a lot of people like. It could happen to anybody. So it's kind
Yeah,
of hurts to see it happen, you know.
yeah. Um, I know for me and a lot of other kids here in America, Dragon Ball Z, especially Dragon Ball Z, was our first foray into anime. Thanks to Toonami on Cartoon Network.
Yeah,
Um,
it had a huge spot in Tsunami. I remember like from there I got into stuff like Yu Yu Hakusho and stuff like
yep.
that. Kenshin. There's a bunch of other ones too.
And
Uh,
it's really crazy to think, especially after seeing other manga writers, their tributes to Akira Toriyama, um, just how much he inspired all of them. And it really goes to show, without Akira Toriyama and his works, a lot of our favorite mangas and animes probably wouldn't exist.
yeah, I'm. If anything, like he's like one of the biggest, like the biggest milestones for like anime in terms of like affecting culture at all. Like he's huge. I mean, like I think,
Yeah,
in my opinion, I think he's more huge than the creator of like Astro Boy or Lupin the Third, just because of how
definitely.
far out like his influence spread. Because of yeah, people like shonen. It's what people get together to watch. Like even nowadays with My Hero Academia, One Piece, etc. But he set the standard in a sense of like
Yeah.
the action. Like before then, it was not much.
E- Even every time I've watched, like, gone through and watched Dragon Ball Z, because obviously I've done several rewatches. I always, always, always get chills seeing Goku go Super Saiyan for the first time.
Yeah, like that's like a
Like,
huge spot.
like that is like the moment of anime is watching Goku go Super Saiyan for the first time.
Yeah,
Um,
for
and then
I think for me, like my favorite part of Dragon Ball Z was when Gohan defeated Cell and he had his
yeah,
father help him. I think for me
I
that
was
was
I,
like a huge
I was actually just about to bring that up.
yeah.
Is watching Gohan go Super Saiyan 2, and then the one-handed Kamehameha and Goku coming back for that split second to boost him up after he had sacrificed himself.
I thought it could have ended there. To be honest, it was just that good of a arc
Yeah,
ending. Um,
yeah. Well, Gohan and Goten were supposed to take over as the main characters of the show. Goten was supposed to be the Goku like figure, looks wise, obviously, but Gohan was supposed to be the main character.
I
But everyone
I think everyone
kind
just
of,
wanted Goku still, but
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
go ahead.
it's hard to have Goku and then take him away because at that point, so I know the anime for Dragon Ball, I think started in 1984 or something like that. Um, so at that point, you've had Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z for at least 6, 7 years of Goku as the main character. It's really, really hard to change, and get behind a decision like that. But
I think
Go,
it. I think it's
Goku's iconic for a reason.
yeah. I think it is kind of funny that he came back because it wasn't the first time he died. In the very
Yeah,
beginning, he got killed by
yeah.
Raditz. Um,
But technically, he was killed by Piccolo.
well, yeah, technically killed by Piccolo. Um, special beam cannon. Um, but I'm kind of like worried because I think Dragon Ball Super is still ongoing, so I don't know how they're gonna
Well,
continue on from this.
actually, I've been reading up around a lot about that, and Akira Toriyama hasn't really been super involved in the story for Dragon Ball Super. Um, they got him involved for the new Broly movie, and I think he was heavily involved in that last one that came out, Dragon Ball Superheroes or whatever. Um, I think he was very involved for that. Um, but other than that, like the regular manga and everything, it's been his protege, um, Totaro, I think.
Okay.
I could be getting his name very, very wrong. Um, but he's been handling most of the manga aspects past couple years. I think like the past 10 years. I know, I do know Akira Toriyama got Dragon Ball Super going again, and then I think that's when the other guy took over. Was shortly after it got started, and I think he would just give input on where the story could go and stuff like that.
Right. I'm.
Because
Go
I
ahead.
know he didn't have any involvement in Dragon Ball GT, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think he did. I think he just had influence in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and I think he also had influence in Dragon Ball Evolution, the live action movie. But aside from that,
Yeah,
like
he had influence in that because that movie just was god awful.
I know, I
I'd
heard
rather
he stormed out the theater second that movie came, like was in the premiere. Like halfway through he left because he thought it was that bad.
Honestly, I would say that the live action Last Airbender movie is better than Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah, I think people forget about it a lot, but for good reason.
Oh yeah,
But it's kind of like bad in the manga world. I think for these past like few years because like a few huge names died from like any like multiple reasons, different reasons why they died, but like big names like Mira and like now it's like Akira Toriyama is. I don't know
Yeah,
how this is gonna look because these are all like the big shots. I don't know like who else is like
yeah,
gonna be left. It could be. I'm kind of like worried about like Tagashi, considering like he's been dealing with problems, but like yeah,
what does he do?
he does Hunter x Hunter and
Oh,
he did Yu Yu Hakusho way back. Uh, I think that one was one of my like favorite shonen like animes and stuff growing up too. But
oh yeah, no, Yu Yu Hakusho is definitely. I would consider that his masterpiece. I'm not a fan of Hunter x Hunter.
yeah, I can understand like what you mean by that, especially considering like the amount of characters Hunter x Hunter has is too much.
Yeah,
Um, One thing I gotta say though, I did like one thing that people kind of like overlook slightly is like humor in terms of when they think about Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. I think
dude,
despite the
I
all
think Goku is probably one of the funniest damn characters of all time.
no, I think he's hilarious, but I also think like how he sets up like characters like Vegeta and like he sets up names and like the setting for like a bunch of characters is just hilarious. Like I know he didn't take it seriously, but the Majin Buu saga is a huge one, for example.
Yeah,
Like he made it work, but like it's a it's a pink creature that turns people into chocolate and stuff. I mean, it's hilarious. And
yeah,
the naming he uses like is all based off food. He just makes it work.
yeah. You know, he definitely had a bit of a comedic genius. Um, because it's just especially like in the original Dragon Ball series, like Kid Goku was absolutely hysterical.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of the original series you've watched
I mean,
or read.
I watched the first tournament arc for sure, and I watched a bit about the Red Ribbon Army, but
Yeah.
as I have actually, believe it or not, I haven't seen like the King Piccolo yet. I haven't gotten that
So
far.
I honestly would say that I prefer the original series over Dragon Ball Z
Hmm.
and definitely over Dragon Ball Super. Um, so do you know what Goku is based on?
Sun Wukong.
Yeah. So the original name for Dragon Ball was supposed to be Journey to the West, like the story of Sun Wukong. Or if you don't know who that is the Monkey King from Japanese mythology. Um, but so that's what the original Dragon Ball series is about, and then it just morphs from there into like this huge galactic saga of stuff. One thing I definitely can appreciate though is every so often in the series they bring back someone or something from the Red Ribbon Army, calling back to the original series because that was his biggest thing is
Yeah,
going up against them.
absolutely. I actually heard believe it or not, um, some people were such huge fans of Dragon Ball specifically that they got recordings and color corrected them from like old like Betamax footage that they'd never released anywhere else. Like
Oh
they
wow,
even did like the what do you call it? The actual like dubbing and stuff like that, the audio from it. So it was like even more authentic. So like they went way back just to digitize them and like release them like for people to see.
that's awesome.
Yeah, like I didn't think how huge like the fan base was. Like I thought it was mostly like just regarding just having fun with what's being released and stuff, but no, it's about like preservation of like such a huge thing. Like I can't find like stuff like the box like for all the footage and stuff like that. Like for every like episode, it's just like that big of a deal.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's honestly it's the fan base for Dragon Ball that's really crazy to me because the fan base is absolutely massive. Um,
I think I've
and
seen. Go ahead.
it's hard to think of any like single franchise that's come out recently that has had an impact like Dragon Ball has had.
Right.
Um,
Because honestly, like if you get world leaders talking about it, then it's pretty much a big deal. A few of them,
yeah,
like from France and I believe El Salvador too, like they brought up about Toriyama's passing, and that's pretty
I don't
huge.
know.
How
I
they
don't know how true it is, but I saw something about the Mexican cartels calling for a ceasefire.
that's it's not
Um,
true in the slightest. I think I don't know if that's true, but
I don't know, but like, eh, say it was like that. That's a big deal. Like
I, I
getting the whole ass cartels to
I think
have
that's
a
a me.
ceasefire.
I think that's a meme being spread around because
I think so.
the
That
like Latin America likes Dragon Ball and stuff like that. They would say a lot.
yeah,
So I mean, but that being said, like El Salvador, like the government brought up his passing though, so that's kind of close enough.
yeah.
I know, like
What
mhm.
um what's really crazy is actually I lost my thought. So go ahead, say what you're gonna say so I can think about it.
I mean, I really don't think I have much to say else from that. I believe that the
Oh,
whole world's still reeling. I believe. Go ahead.
I got it. So obviously the biggest characters that like everyone in the world knows are like Batman, Superman, Spider Man, characters like that. And it's crazy how in so Dragon Ball came out in the 80s. In 40 years, Goku has become just as recognizable as of a character as those three.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think
Um,
like I wouldn't be surprised if he pushed manga sales in the Americas and probably Europe also like more than comics at some point, and like
oh yeah,
that's like he's probably what helped push uh manga and Japanese media to the West to begin with.
oh yeah. And like some of it was making its way here, but you just had to know where to find it. But once Dragon Ball came out, and then Dragon Ball Z, that's when anime and stuff like that really started to boom here in the West. Um, so to say without Dragon Ball, we wouldn't have a lot of these things. I would say that's definitely something that could be proven. Um, what's been the most touching to me is all the manga writers who I don't want to say worshipped him, but very, very much looked up to him like their entire lives and got into manga because of Akira Toriyama. What, reading their tributes to him and all that stuff. I actually saw a little bit ago. It was they did all their own characters in the Dragon Ball style,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen a few of
and then
those.
I've also seen like Oda, the guy who did Naruto, and other manga writers. They drew Goku in their style
Yeah,
that they do for their own mangas, which I think is awesome. They did that a couple years ago.
I love when other like mangakas like drawing others characters in their style. Uh, Even if there it wasn't as a tribute, but it was just like maybe for fun. Uh,
Yeah,
God, it's kind of like disheartening to see. I've seen some letters from like people like Oda and stuff, and they're really like hurt by it.
yeah.
So
Um, it's crazy. Um, I would say all it's done is really make me want to rewatch the whole series again.
I think that's actually what I was planning to. I was gonna binge like Dragon Ball and then Z. I'm actually gonna see GT too. Like despite how much he worked with it, I actually like GT. Um, but then I'll
Um,
see like Super too.
I would say that there are good aspects of GT, but it is not up to the same. It's not on
It's
the
not
same
gonna be
level as Dragon Ball
DBZ.
Z.
Yeah, I agree, but
And I would
it's
say the
just
same thing
more.
about Dragon Ball Super. Like
Yeah,
there are good things about it, but it's not as good.
Yeah, the one thing I'm just not a huge fan of, which is under like I'm sure people can understand, is like the power creep and like Dragon Ball, like from Z to Super or Z to GT. Um, it can be too big to take it seriously sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Ugh.
I
Yeah, I would say that's one thing that I think kind of got away from them in Dragon Ball is the power levels and all that.
yeah,
It's like, you did all the stuff on Earth with Dragon Ball, then you go to space and whatnot in Dragon Ball Z. And then you get to Majin Buu, who's supposed to be like the most evil thing in the universe and the most powerful thing in the universe. And then you have to top that again.
yeah. I feel like there's plenty of ways to make it work without like just making them even more powerful than this universe and the other universe, and it's just a lot, you know. I guess
Yeah.
like it just hypes things up, I guess. So I understand that. It's sad because you see it a lot in other mangas too. But
Yeah.
hey, I enjoy it. I mean, I can't complain
Yeah.
too much. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there's much else to say. I mean, rest in peace, Toriyama. I mean, like, huge inspiration to me.
Absolutely. Just also just that we will forever enjoy Dragon Ball, and I think we can both say thank you to Akira Toriyama for your work and everything that you did to entertain the world.
Yeah, I I don't think my childhood would be as fun like without Dragon Ball. So I completely thank
Um,
Toriyama for creating it.
yeah, I can never say there would be a big change in my life had I never seen Dragon Ball. Um, I don't think I would really be who I am without seeing it.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't be as bold to make decisions. I guess like have that like motivation compared to like
Yeah,
other people had it not been for stuff like Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z.
yeah.
But I guess that's about it. I mean, there's not much else to say.
Yep. So
So,
once again, I'm Andrew.
and I'm Chris.
We are the Nerd Squadron 535.
Over and out.